I wanted to explain my life as a targeted individual, and that is many work against you and cause things to happen that would not occur. And I'm sober and Alcoholics Anonymous since 1985. I always made good money. I'm an ambitious, hardworking, productive type person, and everything in our lives was fine in the suburbs, running along in a normal, regimented fashion. I was a single mom with my 2 daughters. I provided a loan with full physical custody for 9 years, and then I was framed outright by lies told to DCFS anonymously, false allegations told secretly, and set up. And a lot preceded that setup that went on in '09 many years ago, but I tell the story many times. I look back to the past 21 years of being a targeted individual and piece things together of what was done, what someone said, where someone showed up, and you name it. And it is not fun being a targeted individual. I realized that's what I was when I Googled one day at the Apple Store in 2010, and a website came up about gang stalkers and targeted individuals. And I read it and I said, oh my gosh, that matches up with what's gone on. And that's when I realized I was targeted in the definition of gang stalkers. And many explain they are on spy cam hacking, bugging equipment, and security cameras. And that they gang stalk people silently that way and ruin everything they do by hacking, phone bugging, and you name it. And so that's why it's really awful. And when this was going on in 8 and 9, I was just praying, somebody tell me what is going on and get this out in the open, and whatever is being, who this is being done by, all sneakily. I was just praying somebody would tell me what is going on. As the mailbox was smashed on the ground twice, my SUV was broken into in the driveway, $500 worth of property was stolen, our 2 cats went missing Labor Day '08, 2 of our cats, when stalkers had been there that I saw. So I saw a big dumpster across the street the church had, and cars stalking, and 2 of our cats went missing that day, Labor Day '08. And all these, and I'm a big cat lover. I love children, was devoted to my elderly mother. I bought a house in '05 for my mother to live with us in her very old age so she would not go to an elder care. And we planned that out in 2001. So I was legally separated January 2000, filed in the Van Nuys Courthouse, full physical custody, Nancy G. Fox-Taylor. And I did not receive child support for many years. I never did, really, just arrears much later. And I provided a loan. I paid the mortgage and bills alone. I worked hard as a real estate agent. I had an all-referral real estate business. For 10 years, I built up that ran like clockwork and sold about 5 homes a year. I sold 7 homes in '05, counting my own homes I sold and bought in '05, as I bought a 1-story so my mother could live with us instead of an elder care. And I bought it in the same city, county, and school district as a 2-story tract home we had lived, my daughters and I lived in for 8 years. And so it was, the move was 2 miles away, very good transition for my 2 daughters to be close to the 2-story tract home. The same school was down the street, and same city, same county, and so on. And I worked hard to accomplish this move, and that was by working as a realtor up at 4 a.m. on the Canal Valley multiple listing service, searching for new homes and sales and comps, and emailing buyers and sellers listings and so on, faxing offers. And I worked away 3 hours a day before my daughters got up at 7 a.m. So that's how I built up my business and made a good living as a single mom. I got 3 hours of work done before they got up for school. And that's a good tip for single parents, to work when they're asleep. And you get a lot done, and then half your day is done. And so that's how I worked. I ran around and sold homes while they were at school, say from for 6 hours or so. So really, I worked a 9-hour day, and I made a great living. All referral business, and all referral business is when you have a handful of customers and you give them full attention. And I didn't cold call for listings or door knock, really, hardly ever. I didn't like doing that. I had an all referral business. I gave personal attention to my buyers and sellers, which means I went above and beyond the call of duty. I did paperwork at their houses in person, and I had lunch and dinner with some of them. And that's part of an all referral business, is you do a great job, and then they refer you to, say, three people is how it works. And so that's the business I had, which means I had about 10 customers, and I didn't want more than that. That was my business I built up, that I did alone, one-man band, Nancy Fox, and I did it by delegating to advertising. I delegated to a flyer person to take professional photos and make flyers instead of sitting there making a flyer all morning to save $200. I delegated to a flyer company. I delegated to advertising for the Los Angeles Times. I delegated for somebody to do my escrow file and paid them $400 per escrow. So all of my time was spent emailing, faxing, and being out in the field, in person, showing homes, previewing homes, showing listings, and so on. And that's my business I built up. They ruined. And here, my whole business was built on how nice and friendly I am, how honest and ethical I am, and it's based on everything positive. And I'm very into positive thinking, and that's how I am. And I avoided drama like the plague. I just liked everything good, nice, and pleasant, and I work AA and an Al-Anon 12-step program. Now, Al-Anon program I've worked since 1997, and that is where you don't backstab, you don't gossip, you don't manipulate, you don't try to control somebody, you don't try to change people. And that's a Al-Anon program. And here, the gang stalkers are the total opposite, as they are ones who harm people, who plot and plan and manipulate and steal and obviously backstab and conspire, and to change people's situations with master manipulation. And it's really horrible. They do all this secretly and behind the person's back, and nobody tells the person what is going on. In 2009, I was like, please, somebody tell me what is going on. My car was broken into, property stolen, mailbox smashed on the ground, $1,000 worth of clothes went missing I bought after a diet in 2005. So they were fairly new clothes, and 4 pairs of True Religion jeans, $200 each, missing from the house. Saw a locksmith truck on the street, saw the mailbox stocked, saw women standing outside of cars parked on the street staring at the mailbox. I was stalked when I drove, and you name it. And how do you work the same when you're stalked and scared and afraid and you don't know what is going on? So it's very wrong to gang stalk targeted individuals or anybody. And that's why stalking is against the law. And they should have all gone to county jail. And so we could have remained in our home and had our happy life we'd had for 12 years in the suburbs. And so I always am looking back and thinking of things that were done and what went on. And it seems it started in '05 with the mailbox being smashed on the post. And in December '04, I filed for a final divorce, and that was with the legal separation papers filed January 2000 in the Van Nuys Court, full custody, Nancy G. Fox Taylor. Those were filed in the Ventura County Court in December '04. Nothing was even changed except wife restored maiden name was added. The divorce was the legal separation papers that were filed in the Van Nuys Court and then the Ventura County Court. And I got a real estate license in 1999, Nancy G. Fox Taylor. And again, my business was run by my being positive, friendly, nice, everything going good, getting referred, and that's how I built up my business. And it was ruined by when I was framed and slandered and set up in '09. And that was after 4 years of the gang stalking, vandalism, theft, catnapping, clothes being stolen, and on, again, after all those crimes were done, crimes of humanity committed against us. And in 2000, and trying to remember, it's been so long. I just can't believe it's been so many years, but 2001, I showed my mother properties near us in the suburbs, attached one-stories, and to see if she wanted to buy one and live near us and exchange her house in Sherman Oaks to keep her tax base. And so I showed her 3 properties near us, and she said, no, I want to live with you and your girls, but where would my bedroom be? Because we had 4 bedrooms upstairs at the 2-story tract home. So my mother and I decided in 2001, I told her, don't worry, Mom, I'll sell the 2-story and buy a 1-story for you to live with us. So she said, great. And I started searching on the Canal Valley MLS in '01 for a house to buy, 1-story or bedroom bath down, so my mother could live with us. And the same time, I was updating the 2-story tract home, knowing I would sell it and use the money to buy another house where my mom could live with us. And so every day when I did my searches for buyers and sellers, I did a search for myself and searched for a bedroom bath down or 1-story clay tile roof, and decided I want a house with a spiritual ambiance that felt serene, because I'm a long-time sober AA lady. I wanted a house with serenity, a spiritual ambiance like a writer's retreat, because I'm a poet, a song lyric writer, and a screenplay writer. And in '04, I wrote my first screenplay called Angels Anonymous at our 2-story house. And I was so happy. I finally wrote my screenplay. I had kept notes in a shoebox under my bed about my screenplay while my daughters were growing up. And I thought, I don't have time to write a screenplay. And when they were young, and I thought, I'll just keep notes and do it later, and they're older. And I literally kept putting notes in a shoebox. And 2004, I bought the final draft screenplay writer CD and sat down and just wrote my screenplay. It just poured out of me. I wrote it every morning, and I wrote it for 4 months. I actually sold more homes, was more productive using my creative outlet, I discovered. Also, my younger daughter and I took guitar lessons in '05, and I felt using my creative outlet for guitar, song lyric writing, screenplay writing, I felt so happy, and it just went well with selling properties because I was in a great mood that I was using my creative outlet also on the side. And I decided I'm going to buy a house and keep selling real estate, double my income to 300,000 a year, as it was 150,000 a year with the hours I worked as a single mom. And I knew when my daughters were adults, I could double it to 300,000 a year because I could work more hours once they were driving and 18. And anyway, so I thought I'm going to buy a house and keep selling real estate and to pay all the bills and then do screenplay writing on the side. And I always said if I sell a screenplay, I'll go back to the movie business and be a writer producer. Because I was a costume designer in the 1980s, Nancy G. Fox on imdb.com, Internet Movie Database. I worked on 100 movies, made a great living as a costume designer and costume supervisor and stylist on rock videos and commercials, and that was my life for about 17 years, costume designer stylist. And so I made a good living at that also. And going from the film business to being a realtor, I'm one who worked hard like I did in the movie business, up at 4 a.m., emailing away and writing emails, making lists, and you name it. As movie business people, they're up at 4 or 5 a.m. call and getting so much done early in the morning. And so that's how I worked as a real estate agent. And my foundation was somewhat of from the movie business, getting a lot done in one day. I'd get a lot done by noon, and was used to doing 10 things at once from doing costumes. And then being a realtor, I learned how to email and search on the internet and be a fast emailer and searcher, and I type 190 words a minute. And I did take typing in college. I also took psychology, theater arts, playwright, and radio, film, and broadcast. So I prepared myself to work in the movie business and be a screenplay writer at Valley College, and when I was 17 to 19. And anyway, but luckily, being a fast typist and fast internet searcher and having 10 years of experience as a realtor on the internet, that has helped with my Medium for God business, because I had no internet skills before I was a realtor in 1999. So I am very grateful for that I learned how to email, search the internet, and I could do it very fast. I do it very fast still. And anyway, and I'm one who does like doing 10 things at once, and people who are from the movie business are like that and get things done fast and make lists and budgets. And so anyway, that's my personality. So being framed and set up has been awful for someone like me, who's ambitious, productive, creative, and a entrepreneur, a go-getter, and list maker, and who does 10 things at once and gets it done. And that's how I worked as a realtor. Something came up from a buyer or seller, I would handle it that minute right on my cell by calling or texting or sending an email or fax, and I'd say done, next thing. That I stayed on top of everything as a point, as a one-man band with lists in my head, and I'd always write a list at the end of every day what I had to do the next day, and I really had it down pat, being a real estate agent. And I had planned to get an assistant, double my income, and planned someday I'd retire and get a 20% referral fee from all my work forever. And that all was ruined because I was set up. And that's what I wanted to explain also, is that was very wrong. It ruined my whole retirement plan. And to get referral fees forever as a real estate agent. And so anyway, my final draft CD I bought and wrote my screenplay in 04, that went missing from the one-story house also. So did pages of my Angels Anonymous screenplay that said Mother Teresa. I noticed, because I had paid a lot to print a lot of copies of my screenplay, and it appears someone stole pages and my Final Draft CD software. In addition to the True Religion jeans, 200 apiece, I bought after a diet, as I said, like new clothes, $1,000 worth. And all these little things worked against everything. My daughter's ballet bag was stolen, and my real estate listing portfolio by a car break-in May 9th or 10th, 2006. So this is how I was set up. I was robbed, catnapped, and all these little things affect your productivity. Having this negative energy of thievery going on. And when here, I was used to everybody referring me, being so nice, and running to do a listing or write an offer to a buyer if someone referred me to that I sold a house for. And I was used to everything being positive. And in '05, I updated the house in the two-story in February '05. I refinanced it. I put in that in December '04 and said I'm taking $20,000 out to update the house to make more selling it to buy another house. And I said I'm keeping my $30,000 in my savings in December '04, not using that, because I tried to keep reserves for bills, being a single mother. I also don't charge on credit cards. And so I am one who likes to keep cash in the bank, transfer it to my checking, and pay bills. And that worked very well for me also. I'm one who'd rather get a second loan on a house with a low interest rate and then charge on a credit card, or refi a car and just change your car payment longer. And I am one who's good at lowering a monthly nut and keeping cash in the bank you transfer to write checks for bills. And that worked very well for me. And I refied the house in December '04, took 20 grand out, the loan funded February '05, did carpet paint tile to the two-story, got it ready to list and sell. And I had a long-time sober AA party, February '05, February 27th, with the new carpet paint tile. I thought, I should have a party here with the house looking so good before we sell the house. And and I had lost weight by the diet I started in '04, bought a new outfit at Nordstrom's, a spiritual Free People light blue sweater and designer jeans. I was so happy that I could look good in jeans again. And anyway, so everything was positive on the upswing, lost weight, Nordstrom's outfit, carpet paint tile, ready to sell and buy. And I made $140,000 in '04, and I usually had 4 listings, and those are in the LA Times, Nancy G. Fox-Taylor, 99 to 2009. Anyone could look it up. I was in the top 100 agents several times, also in the paper, Los Angeles Times newspaper. Anybody can get as proof to show what gang stalkers, to show how they ruined my income. And anyway, so I listed the two-story in '05, and hardly anybody came to see the house. No, there were no real estate agent cards, no buyers trying to see it, and it sold the day the power was off in the city and the suburbs. And so I feel gang stalkers were bugging my phone and stopping me from showing the house, or stopping agents from seeing it. That is how it seemed, is that was not normal, because I think I listed it for $780 or $789, $779, around there, and it should have sold quickly. I had a huge flat backyard and 1,822 square feet, 3-car garage, new carpet paint tile, exterior paint done, garage doors in 2000, a brand new air conditioner, and the house all neutral. It should have sold quickly. And I feel gang stalkers were stopping the phone calls to stop me from selling the house due to the lack of people that should have been there. It was not normal at all. It was a busy market at this time in '05, And then the buyers and the realtor knocked on the door the day the power was out. No cell phone reception, no lights, and that's how it sold. By a miracle from God, the buyers came when the power was off. That is, to me, no coincidence. I mean, that was no coincidence. That's God's will. But it just kind of shows, yes, probably they were stopping calls by bugging the phone, I think. And I'm pretty sure I also was doing open houses at 2 of my listings, and no buyers came, except maybe one neighbor on the street. And my realtor signs were knocked down on the sidewalk and on the corner where there was a vacant lot, and picked up and taken. And okay, I believe gang stalkers knocked down my real estate signs and stopped buyers from my open houses to ruin my income, and then stole my final draft CD and screenplay pages to ruin my screenplay writing career I planned to have. So I always said, well, I might sell my screenplay, make $1 million, pay my house off, and go back, be a writer producer back in the movie business, sell my real estate business to a real estate agent, get 20% referral fees forever. So I had all these plans laid before me, and I'm one who's always figuring things out in my head and planning ahead. I'm one who plans way in the future, and I'm the one that sees the big picture also and sees in the long run and so on. And then the perfect house came back on the market when the two-story was listed. The two-story had been listed a couple months, and I had seen the perfect house April '05 on the MLS. 1-story, clay tile roof, 3-car garage, hacienda porch, 3 large laden oak trees, and church bells chiming. I knew the street because I'd showed a house on the street, and I knew all about the house. I knew it was near the elementary school we'd been at since '97. Same city, same county, spiritual ambiance, serenity, clay tile roof. I wanted a Spanish-style house to do pavers and plasters and that kind of look. And I knew exactly the look I wanted, exactly the feeling in the house, and it had the perfect floor plan, and anyway, that we saw later, but that came back on the MLS the middle of May '05. And I saw it that morning. We'd just gotten back from a horse show in Glendale the night before, as my daughter showed in equestrian shows, hunter jumper, and I paid for a horse and horse shows and ballet, and I did all this as a single mom, working very hard. With full custody, I provided a loan with no child support and no alimony that I waived. So I'm just pointing this out. It was very wrong to set a mom up like me, who provided a loan 9 years with full custody, who paid for everything. And my ex was supposed to pay half of theater arts camps and orthodontist bills and so on, and didn't. So I paid for everything gladly for my daughters, as I wanted them to have the best life possible, and they did have a very good life and upbringing, with Italian opera singing lessons, Royal Academy of Dance ballet lessons, theater arts camps, equestrian camp, equestrian shows, horse leases, and you name it, and nice clothes, great food, and they had a very nice upbringing in the suburbs for 12 years, where I planned to stay, and gang stalkers ran us out of that life, and that was very wrong. They ran us out of the house where my mom was going to live instead of in elder care, as she was going to move in, and that would have been '08 when she got memory loss, and the doctor sent a letter to the Department of Motor Vehicles and took her driver's license. She was going to move in '08. She would have, because she lost her driver's license due to memory loss. But I was too worried about the stalkers, and I'm just sitting there going, what is going on? I'm waiting for someone to tell me what in the world is going on with catnapping, stalking, vandalism, theft, and locksmith trucks, and cars stalking on the street. What is going on? So I didn't feel safe having her move in until I knew what was going on. Nobody ever told me what was going on. And then I was set up in '09 by lies anonymously, and I knew, oh, they did all that for 4 years to frame me, to ruin our lives. Oh, I get it. And then it was obvious what was going on is they were victimizing me and stalking, stealing, and so on, vandalizing, breaking in the car, and on to frame a nice single mom. And that's what, and to do ID theft, it seems. And anyway, I was just praying, somebody tell me what is going on with all of this stalking. I did report it 5 times. I did report the car break-in. I have the report. It says $500 worth of personal property was stolen. So my daughter and I went out and bought all new ballet clothes and toe shoes and you name it, jazz tap shoes, and so my real estate listing portfolio, that was my livelihood they stole. That's what I listed houses and estates with. And I was becoming more of an estate agent at the time. I sold probably 6 estates, probably 10 homes, $1 million and over. And I felt realtors were after my real estate business because they looked like realtors standing in front of new BMW Volvos that were white, parked on our street. They looked like real estate women in real estate clothes staring at our mailbox on a post. So why would that occur? I said out loud to my kids, I bet a realtor is after my business and that's who's stalking. That is what I thought. Just with logic of real estate women, they look like real estate women or mortgage brokers staring at the mailbox on a post in front of their cars. Because I could see them from the hacienda porch. With a real estate listing portfolio being stolen, I mean, that's just obvious. They were after my business and identity and to ruin our lives and run us out of the house, to rob me blind. That's how it certainly seems. And so anyway, I bought the house in '05, and I bought it with my real estate income. Well, first of all, when I saw it that morning on the MLS, back on market, printed the MLS sheet. I'm certain I did. I was so happy it came back on the market because I didn't get to see it when it was first listed April '05. I saw it on the MLS. And so I printed the sheet. I'm certain I did. And planned to go see it. And that day, we dropped my younger daughter off at school. And then my older daughter and I were driving home. I saw open house signs. And I said, oh, I think that's the house I wanted to see today. So we went to the open house. It was perfect. And I actually had dreams about the house before we were there. I dreamed we parked on the street, and a wide street, and I opened my car door, looked at the corner, and there was a horse crossing sign. And lo and behold, it happened just as I dreamt. I have psychic premonition warning dreams since I was a child. I dream of things before they happen. And this first happened when I was about 9 years old. I dreamt there was a little tiny manila envelope on the dining room table, and it said, for Nancy from Aunt Nina in black handwriting. And I dreamt this very clearly. Woke up in the morning, there it sat on the table, just as I dreamt. And that's when I realized, oh, I dream things before they happen. And that happened with the house. I dreamt of the wide street, horse crossing sign on the corner. I dreamt of the 2 bedrooms became my daughter's bedrooms. And anyway, so when my daughter and I parked in front of the house on the street, the house was above the street, up a driveway, I said, oh my gosh, I dreamt this happened, that we parked on a wide street, opened my car door, looked out, and there was a horse crossing sign on the corner. So we went in. The minute we stepped in, the church bells chimed, hair went up on my arms. I thought, oh my God, I feel so spiritual. And I said, I'm writing an offer. I already know. I don't even have to look around, as I already knew all about the house. I read about it on the MLS in April '05 when it was first listed. And I had 2 dreams about it. I had 3 dreams, really. And anyway, then we looked around, perfect floor plan, 2 bedrooms down the hallway were just as my dream, same exactly as my dream. And so it was meant to be. And part of my criteria was I wanted a large bedroom for my younger daughter, and the bedroom that was hers was as big as the master bedroom. And it was just large bathroom, double sinks with lots of storage for my daughters. One starting high school, one soon to start middle school. Perfect for two teenage girls. And anyway, perfect one story for my mother with a bedroom for her. Spiritual ambiance, church bells chiming, location, location, location. 1,037,000. I'd plan to spend around 900, 929, 950 maybe. That's the price range I was looking in for 4 years, or 850. But anyway, I'd written offers for about 929 on 5 other properties before this one came up again, back on market. I said, well, 1,037,000. I plan to stay under a million. I said, it's worth it. It's in great condition. It doesn't need work like the other houses I wrote offers on. And that way, I don't have to spend all my cash fixing it up. So it's worth just building in $30 a month to the mortgage payment. Spend 1,037,000 and in a state neighborhood that will appreciate $1 million eventually at the time. And I thought I'm going to add on. I even figured out price per square foot with the comparables in the tract, and knew if I add on, it'll be about 2,900 square feet and be worth $2 million someday at the time. And so I thought, this is a great investment for my money. It'll double in price eventually. It is $2 million now because of course I Zillow to see, and so it's just like I thought. It'd probably be worth 2.4 if I still owned it, which I don't, unfortunately, as gang stalkers ran us out, and I have ID theft, and on and on. And I'm just explaining what they did. So I lost $1 million on the house. I lost about 300,000 I invested in it in '05, counting mortgage, taxes, everything. Probably 400,000 I spent on the house that I lost. And I plan to have it $1 million equity. So I always thought, well, someday when I'm old and gray, I might sell it, make $1 million, go buy a little house near my daughter's for all cash. And so I planned way ahead, and I thought, or I'll just live here and get real estate referral fees and rent the guest unit I plan to build to add square footage with permits, and on as I planned it all out as a real estate agent, like an investor or contractor, as I worked with investors and contractors. And I knew it was very smart to buy a little 2,500 square foot original one-story 1976 in a neighborhood where there were houses 2-3 times as much and 2-3 times as big. Very smart to buy the cheapest house in the neighborhood when the prices are very high. And there were a few other neighborhoods like this. And I was always searching comps, and all the time as a realtor, searching fast on the MLS, and I knew that that's very smart to do, and it is. And I'd even looked at a little house like that in another estate area, a little original house, and I knew, I wanted to make a smart investment with my money. I wanted the perfect home for my family, and it was a perfect floor plan. I love the amenities. I wanted to live there the rest of my life and sell real estate, write screenplays, and be productive in the house. And it was all set up for productivity. And I planned for my daughters to be there doing college, university homework, for my mother to be there with the 3 of us looking after her instead of an elder care, and you name it. And all these plans were affected by the gang stalkers and what they did. In '05, after my daughter and I went to the open house, I wrote a full price offer in my car, non-contingent. I wrote a $40,000 3% deposit check. I had $40,000 in my bank account. We went home. I faxed my offer right to my mortgage brokers, and I ran, of course, my buyer payment sheet to see what my payment would be. and it was about $3,300 a month, 40-year NAGAM loan. And I knew NAGAM loans, those are good to keep your payments low for a while, knowing your income will go up more later. Now, I knew when my daughters were older, 18, I knew I'd be working more hours, doubling my income. And I knew a realtor's business usually doubles at the 10-year mark. The 10-year mark was '09. '09, my older daughter turned 18 and started driving in college. That's when I was set up, and everything I worked for was ruined. Right at that plateau of payoff time, you could say, when I would have doubled my income. My older daughter was driving in college, and my mom was going to move in '09 under our roof. I'd been driving back and forth to Sherman Oaks to drive her around because she lost her license, and gladly, as I'm a devoted family lady. And my life was spending time with my mother and my daughters, and my real estate buyers and sellers. And everything was always positive and good and happy, and many strange things went on. All of a sudden, a pizza man showed up at our door, and I didn't order the pizza in '09, and it was my mother's birthday, April 24th, and my daughters and I are going to drive to the valley and drive her to lunch, take her to lunch. And the pizza man knocks, and I open the door. I'm like, I didn't order a pizza. And he's like, will you sign for this, please? I'm like, no, I'm not signing for it. I didn't order it. We don't want it. Shut the door. Put it through my daughter's window. Okay, traipsing through the bushes after I said no. Okay, you're supposed to listen to a mother. No means no. You don't go against them. So that happened in '09, and I feel somebody did that just so he wouldn't go take my mom to lunch in the valley. Like, gang stalkers do manipulating things to targeted individuals. And anyway, in '05, when I bought the house, I got a swing loan from the 2-story house to buy it. That's where you borrow your money from your house you have listed for sale. It's like a lien on your house you pay off when you close escrow. So I borrowed about $300,000 in a swing loan from the 2-story when it was listed. And that went in Downey Savings, and then I transferred it to my checking, Nancy Fox, and then to escrow to buy the house. And I wrote right on there, swing loan with a 2-story house address. And just saying all this because I have obvious ID theft. And so back to when I wrote the offer, I faxed it to the mortgage brokers, and I told them in February '05 I was going to sell and buy in '05. So they knew they were doing my loan. I did about 7 escrows with the mortgage brokers, who were also my friends, who I trusted and spent time with, socializing and doing things for the elementary school, fundraisers, and so on. And where I advertised also for years. So that's how my business was destroyed. I had a family real estate business. I sold homes to families. I advertised in the elementary school. I paid for things at fundraisers at the elementary school, the fun run, and a Sherwood banquet, and the flowers I did for the tables. And here, a nice mom like me was lied about to the Department of Child Protective Family Services when I had a real estate business based on being a nice family lady. That's how my business was ruined. Because half my buyers and sellers, first thing they'd say, how are your kids doing? And I mean, that was my life. Selling to families, being a family lady, family real estate lady. And they ruined my life by lying about me secretly to DCFS after 4 years of victimizing, stalking, vandalism, catnapping, theft. And that's a fact. And that's a setup. And that was very mean to do. And here I was always positive, productive, and everything on the upswing, and positive thinking, plans for the future, and present, and you name it. And I always made money. And I always did. And I always had faith. God will provide by the work I've done. Never failed me till the stalker swarmed. And that's a fact. And In '05, I got the swing loan from the two-story house, put in Downey Savings U.S. Bank, and transferred it to my checking and bought the house. And I said, and I got the swing loan. Uh, I've got the, I'm sorry, the NAGAM loan. And so the payment had come up $3,300 a month. Of course, I ran a fixed loan payment to see what it would be. 40-year fixed loan was $4,800 a month. So I printed all the papers like I did for my buyers and sellers and said, no, I'm going to get the NAGAM loan, $3,300 a month. And the mortgage brokers came up with the same payment, $3,300 a month. The hour I wrote the offer, they faxed me a loan approval letter. I did a printout of how much I'd make selling the two-story, a seller net sheet, and I think it was 365,000 around there. I faxed that to them, I'm certain I did, so they'd see how much equity I had in the house. And this meant I was a very strong buyer, non-contingent, full price, money in the bank I'd made selling homes, almost 400,000 equity in the house I was selling. I was a strong buyer when I bought a house. So they faxed me a loan approval letter with Countrywide Home Loans for Nancy Fox. And I opened escrow right away. My younger daughter came to see the house after school. That day I wrote the offer. She loved it. My mother came during the escrow, and she said, I want to go on the house with you. And she loved it to live there, approved of it to live there. And so I called the mortgage brokers while she was at the house and said, my mom wants to go on the house. And they said, great. If she goes on with her assets, it'll save you $330 a month. I heard their calculator going on my cell phone. Literally, I remember I have a photographic memory of many things. And so my mom standing there smiling ear to ear, so happy, in love with the house to live there. And she never got to because we were run out of the house by what was done. By gang stalking, liar, thieves. And anyway, the mortgage broker said, great, if your mom goes on the house, that'll save you $330 a month if she goes on using her assets, not her money. And so I said, she said, go to escrow with your mom and add her to your purchase contract. And go to Downey Savings and open a joint savings with your mom because she's going on your house. And so that's what we did to save me $330 a month. And this was in '05 during the escrow. And my mom was very happy. And it was all her idea to go on the house. I did not ask her to go on the house. And so I knew, well, I'm going to refi before the NAGAM loan goes up 7 years from '05. And I'm going to put it in my name alone and get a fixed rate. My income doubles at the 10-year real estate mark, and my daughters are both 18 and over. So I planned that all out. And NAGAM loans, I was told by a mortgage broker, those are designed for people who will make more money later. They are designed to keep your payment low for a while, knowing your income will go up when the payment goes up. So I knew all about NAGAM loans from being a real estate agent. And so anyway, I was very happy, and my payment ended up being $26.50 a month and $100 for the second loan. So was I ever happy to be in $1 million house with that payment? I thought, this is like paying rent, and I know the house will go up $1 million. This is a dream come true, and was very happy about it. And bought the house and closed escrow, and we still lived at the two-story. So I had the carpet taken out and distressed hardwood flooring, pavers, and plastering done before we moved our furniture in. As I learned that being a realtor too, that buyers would often do new carpet, paint, flooring, and knock walls down the minute the house recorded title before they moved in. And someone said, it's best to do your house before you move your furniture in. And I thought, great idea. And that's what I did. So we were at the two-story. while they were doing the flooring and plastering and pavers at the one-story. And then you don't have to pay to move your furniture in and out and have your bathroom sink and washer during the hallway and a big mess. So it was really wonderful that way. And I knew I could reduce my house 50,000 if I have to, get multiple offers, sell it overnight to pay my swing loan off if need be. I knew I had 50,000 to play around with that I could have reduced it by if I had to get it sold quickly. And so that I waited. Being a realtor, I ran lots of seller net sheets, lots of buyer net sheets, and I knew I could always reduce it 50,000, get it sold, pay off the swing loan. Luckily, I sold it for $750, which was really originally my bottom price. I started at about $789 or so, and right away, I'm sure the day I wrote the offer, I reduced it probably that day to $750 because I wanted the house. And I learned that being a realtor. If you want a house, reduce your house you're selling because it's worth it in the long run. You're getting the house you love. It's worth reducing the house you're selling to get the house you want. And anyway, that's what I did. I'm sure I reduced it that minute on the MLS. I was in control of my own house. I was a listing agent. I knew I could just go on at midnight, reduce it 50 grand, and sell it the next day if I had to. And anyway, I did love being a real estate agent. I was very good at it. It was my life for 10 years, from 99 to 2009. And I plan to continue on with a partner, referral fee forever, or whatever, or to sell my business. I would have had someone take it over and got a referral fee the rest of my life. And they ruined all of that plan. So we moved in the house in 2005, and then I looked at the family room and that the kitchen opened to, and I said I'm going to get a couch, 2 chairs, coffee table, and breakfast bar stools. I had cupboards taken out over the kitchen counter, turned it into a breakfast bar, opened up the view and everything else. 'Cause then you could see the view from out the kitchen windows from the family room, and I knew how to do these things being a real estate agent and a costume designer, as I spent a lot of time looking at model homes, staged homes, and I saw what people did to make their houses look great. And I've always been this way, really, my whole life. I love buying a house and then updating it to enhance what's already there and to make it look as good as you can with your budget. And I enjoy that so much. I love decorating, and I stared at the room. I even almost had a home staging business. It's like an interior designer, which I didn't study to be an interior designer, but I've done this to other properties I owned. So I stared at the room and I thought I'm going to get a couch, 2 chairs, coffee table, I have a seating area, and then a dining room table, 4 wrought iron chairs, 2 wrought iron breakfast bar stools, desk for laptops, and then we can all just sort of hang out, sit on the couch, eat on the coffee table, or sit at the dining room table. People could sit at the breakfast bar, talk to me while I cooked, and do laptop, and set it all up for our living, for my 2 daughters, my mother, and I to enjoy our family life. And it was so in love with the house. And so I measured literally with a measuring tape, being the past costume designer I am who shopped with one, as I did that for 17 years. I shopped with a measuring tape, lists and budgets and estimates, and then I'm a fast shopper, and from my costume designer experience. And so I wrote down how big a couch, how big a coffee table, how wide it should be, how far it should stick out, and how far the desk could stick out to fit with a dining room table, and you name it. I measured, I made price estimates up, and I totaled it up, made a budget. I said I'm spending $3,000 on family room furniture. And I went out with my list, my measurements, my price estimates, color scheme in my head as a designer and a realtor who's always saw what people did to houses, and I went out and bought the furniture needed. And when I was at the wrought iron furniture store to get 6 wrought iron chairs, 4 chairs, and 2 breakfast bar stools, somebody came running in, stared at me, and ran out. And this happened many times. And you wonder, was this like coincidence, or are they gang stalking? Did somebody tell people to go see what I was buying or doing? As I had people show up when I was at the PetSmart Staples parking lot. 2 different people showed up 2 different times. And here I'm just doing my normal single mom things, buying horse food and cat food at PetSmart, and office supplies, real estate supplies at Staples, and wrought iron chairs for the house I bought to have forever. And here I'm just doing everyday things. People run in when I got gas at the gas station, pull up at the pump, and appear in the Home Depot plant section. And like everywhere I went, I saw somebody I knew, and I thought, God, I know a lot of people. I'm sure seeing lots of people everywhere I go. What a coincidence. But looking back, could have been gang stalkers, and that's the problem. When you're targeted, life of a targeted individual, you don't know if they're gang stalking or that it's a coincidence. And but it's anyway. That's what happened. Is many people showed up where I was buying things, as I was running around, hurrying to furnish the family room and dining area, and I did. And so anyway, I'm just throwing this in. And also then, because I lost weight on a diet, and I lost probably 4 sizes. I probably went from a size 10 to a size 2, or maybe I was an 8 or 10 and went to a 2. But I was normally a size 2 or 4 or 6, like in my 20s before I had my kids, in 91 and 95. I was normally on the small side. And anyway, I wanted to be my normal weight again. I decided in 05 and 04 December, 45 years old, I thought I want to get back to my regular weight and do a makeover on myself. So I did my skin, I went on a low-carb diet, then I went shopping with some of my equity line money from my 2-story. And I planned and budgeted for all this. And I said, I'm spending $40,000 to update the house, flooring, pavers, plastered, remodeled the 1976 guest bath, and $40,000 on the house. Half the house I did hardwood floors, not the whole house. So I wanted to, though. But anyway, I was saving money, and I said I'm spending $3,000 on furniture, and did. About, I'd say, $2,000 on family room dining area furniture. Desk for laptops, I measured it in Pier 1. I went around with a measuring tape, prices, a list, and got exactly what we needed, what I planned to buy. Got the house all set up and was so happy about it. And I said I'm spending a few thousand on new clothes after the diet, and I bought real estate suits, real estate Ralph Lauren linen jackets, and I usually wear pearls and a linen jacket or a suit. Selling homes and sweater sets. I bought casual clothes. I socialized with buyers and sellers who invited me to lunch and dinner and so on. And I thought, finally, I'm my normal weight. I'm going to fill up my new walk-in closet. And I did. And I was very happy about the clothes I bought, the furniture, the house, and ecstatic. I was on cloud 9. Finally, I'm at my destination, the perfect house, and a house to be productive in. I knew I'd sell lots of estates in the neighborhood just by living there. And I said I'll make an extra $100,000 a year just living here, because it's an estate neighborhood. And I did have an estate listing for $1.8 million. I did sell 2 estates in the neighborhood from the listing, and I had 2 more listings lined up. So I was doing what I planned with my all referral real estate business that was ruined by being slandered and set up in 09. And So we started having Christmas at our house in '05, and we had not had the family Christmas at our two-story house or our house in Valley Glen. But for the first time, we started having Christmas at our house in '05, and my mother said she loved the house for family gatherings, and it was halfway between relatives, 45 minutes away, and it was halfway uh, in between them and her in Sherman Oaks. And she always said, I love the house for family gatherings. She loved I was having Christmas there, so she didn't have to go to the trouble having it in Sherman Oaks anymore. And anyway, we had a housewarming party October 8th, 05, and I told many people there my mom was going to live in the house. I also told everybody Christmas Day she was going to live in the house. And so everybody knew. And I'm saying this is it's very mean. Gang stalkers ran us out of the house where my mother planned to live with us instead of in elder care, in addition to everything else. So I'm just always pointing this out. And everybody knew my mom was going to live in the house. And that would have been '09. That's when I was slandered and set up anonymously with false allegations to DCFS, and the lies were all dismissed without prejudice in court in '09. And it should have been dismissed like a big mistake, an accident. Should have never happened. Should have never been a case file. Should have been overdone, gone, big mistake, dismissed. And that's what I thought would happen. I thought it'd be dismissed. I thought there'd never be a case filed in court. I thought nothing would become of it at all in any way. And that is a fact. And in '09, I was lied about. I was just waiting for it to be over with so we could carry on with our lives. So I could go back to selling homes, have my mom move in, and just carry on with the plans. And no, it didn't get to happen because there was a not needed case file in the court open based on lies that were dismissed. Now, in 2007, my mother's diamond rings went missing from her house in Sherman Oaks. 4 of her, well, she said 7 or more rings were missing. That's what she reported to the police. And so saying simultaneous things went on at my mom's house and at my daughter's and my house in the suburbs at the same time. And it seems they victimized my mother when she was 85 years old in '05, and or 86. So at the same time to victimize us, and it's horrible what stalkers do to targeted individuals when people should be supported and not worked against with negative energy. And anyway, my mother could not find her diamond platinum heirloom rings that she always wore or kept in a china ring dish on her dresser. And this was the day after we had Thanksgiving at Sportsman's Lodge, and she could not find her rings. And so we searched high and low, and then finally she reported it to the police in March '08. 7 or more rings were missing. We did lost stolen report and never recovered the rings. And in '07, fall, October, she said, I want to give you Grandma's big diamond ring soon. And then, day after Thanksgiving, she said, I can't find my rings anywhere. And it seems somebody stole them because they didn't want her to give me my grandma's big diamond ring. And she promised me this every time we were at a restaurant for lunch or dinner or breakfast. Always sitting at the table, she said, this is going to be your ring someday. This big diamond ring of Grandma's. Always she said it. And here she wanted to give it to me in fall '08. Then or fall, let's see, was it '08? Yeah, or 7, fall '07. And then they all went missing. So probably her driveway was bugged and her phone too, I wouldn't doubt it. And anyway, so that was horrible. And I always prayed the rings would be recovered, as she planned for me to have my grandma's big diamond ring on my hand and be living at our house with me sitting there with the ring on my hand, enjoying our life. Never got to happen, as my mom died July 5th, 2021. And anyway, she ended up in an elder care, and everything got changed on her that she had planned. And she made me POA on her Wells Fargo checking, Van Nuys and Victory Boulevard. Nancy G. Fox, POA, in 1978. She had the same checking till somebody changed it in '09, I believe, with a dementia signature. She was diagnosed with dementia a year before then by a doctor. And so that was done the week I was set up to DCFS by lies. So is that not obvious that a big setup was done to do ID theft to me, to victimize us, and run us out of town, and steal my real estate business and so on? It seems. Why would they stalk the mailbox and stare at it and smash it twice and set me up and change my mom's account the same week? So that's what happened. And her living trust will went missing the week I was lied about to DCFS. That said first trustee executor Nancy G. Fox Taylor, January '95. So that went missing. Her checking account was changed the same week I was lied about to DCFS. And that was when my SUV had broken down. Okay, and that's what I said out loud. Kick me when I'm down. I mean, it's like you're supposed to help people. Their SUV breaks down. No, not when you're targeted. Then they just run around to take you down. Oh, set her up. Her car broke down. That is so mean. Okay? Normally in the world, a family member or good friend brings you a car or calls and says, do you want to borrow my car, or can I drive you around, or, this kind of thing? No, not when you're targeted. They lied about me to DCFS when my SUV broke down, when here I'd been driving back and forth to Sherman Oaks to drive my mom around in '08 because she lost her driver's license. So here I am looking after an elder half an hour away, driving her around, which I wanted to do, of course. I didn't want a stranger doing it. And my siblings live 5 hours away, an hour away, and so nobody came to help out. So I was doing everything myself, one-man band, Nancy Fox, driving my mom around in Sherman Oaks, and the doctor, dentist, mammogram, blood tests, Costco for prescriptions, you name it, breakfast, and Solly's Deli, and one-man band driving my daughters around, single mom who provided alone full custody for 9 years. And you would think people would want to help out and not work against you when you do everything for everybody. And no such luck. They just took me right down to the ground, and it's very unfortunate, very sad, very wrong. And I've been explaining it 17 years for justice to prevail, to show what was done. And so a lot of little things went on. I think back on what people said, what they did, and piece it all together to show the life of a targeted individual. And in '09, somebody called me who had been a wardrobe assistant in the '80s, and she said she got a real estate license. Could I train her to be a real estate agent, and could she help me do real estate? And so I said, yeah, and I said, maybe you could help me drop flyers off, pick up real estate cards, and then I could help you in Calabasas, and we could, well, I thought I was writing up a rough draft of an agreement. I thought we could give each other 10% off the commission. I'd help her, she'd help me, and then not partner up and then give each other 10% commission. And so I was working on that. And so when my SUV broke down, I had the person run around for me to some of my listings. And anyway, I thought, well, I'll just work on the phone and tell her what to do. And then she can just sort of run things while I don't have a car. And I called a relative to bring me my mom's car and thought she would. And anyway, I thought this person I'm training to do real estate, who just got a license, could run around and, cover my listings. And I'll just tell her what to do on the phone. And then she ended up going to Prudential in Calabasas. And I'd asked her to go to training at the company I worked for, and she didn't go. She didn't do that, and I had 4 listings at the time. And when my SUV broke down, I had 166,000 business going, and so she decided to go to another company, and so we decided that on the phone in '09. I said, "Oh well," and anyway, then I was told that some relatives didn't want me driving my mother's car. Even though she had no license, it was parked in the garage, and she couldn't drive it. And of course she would let me drive it, because my mother always said, I take care of you, you take care of me, and that's our secret pact. I depend on you, you depend on me. It was a given. I could always depend on my mother no matter what. So anyway, in '09, as I said, SUV broke down, and then DCF, first somebody lied I was suicidal when I was not and never have been. And I said, I haven't seen him 5 months since Christmas or spoken to him. It's like total lie out of the blue. And the same week someone sent DCFS and later said they spoke to my sister. And I said, why would you talk to my sister who has no kids, lives 5 hours away? She's not around us in our family life in the suburbs, and I'm a family lady, and I'm sober in AA since 1985. So that was not a credible person to talk to. And that is what I said to DCFS. And so I think probably my sister sent DCFS to the house to set me up. Same week, my brother lied I was suicidal when I was not and never have been. Same week, around then, my mom's Wells Fargo checking Van Nuys Victory Boulevard was changed to a joint account when it was Denise S. Fox, POA Nancy G. Fox. Same week, her living trust will went missing, or somewhere in that time. And then the same week, I got a mean, mad email that said they were mad about the money from mom's accounts and the loan amount of Wachovia loan and this and that and on, explanations, and said get a real job, work for a living, or just all kinds of nonsense, attacking letter. And I answered back, well, Mom helps me because I'm a single mom. And they said I'm taking control and this and that. And I saw this email at my friend's house. It was the same week I was slandered and set up to DCFS. And anyway, our laptops crashed because we had a power surge.